Okay, so let's take a look at finishing up our hand. Um, I'm going to use my clay buildup brush to build out the knuckles, and then just use my move tool to give me kind of these bulbous ends, and maybe give it some nails. So I'm going to hit B for brush, and then C, and then B again for clay buildup. And I'm just going to start sculpting in, just putting like a straight line across, holding shift to smooth it out, just kind of creating those knuckles like that. I'll shrink my brush down. Some of you probably noticed as I'm holding spacebar to kind of jump into this area. It's just closer to where my hand is on the keyboard. Again, sort of creating that. Now the nails, I'm just going to expand my brush a little bit, hold shift, and just kind of smooth out these ends. I'm going for kind of a Wreck-It Ralph, almost like fingers. So something like that. And then for my move tool, actually a cool one, which might work pretty well, is if I hit B and then I can grab my inflate brush, which is N. So B, I, and N. And I can just kind of inflate the tips a little bit like that. And if you really want to get those nails in there, let's kind of, actually I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the bottom. Grab my clay buildup. So B, C, brush, C for clay, and then B again. Just kind of smooth this out a little bit like this. I also kind of want to move this back a little bit. So I'm going to grab my move brush and just kind of move these in a little bit more. Because it's kind of bunched up and I want more of that curvature. And we could always, hold shift, smooth it out like that. Like this. Grabbing my clay buildup again, just kind of creating these areas. Something like this. And then up here, I'm just going to extend those lines, creating those veins that are in the hands. Again, I don't want to get too crazy. Like, this is not going to be, this is just a very basic cartoony character. Again, we're just sort of just learning the process at this point. So let's scale this down. So I'm going to hit E for scale. I'm going to drag this out from the wrist, just scale this down a little bit like that. And then I'm actually going to scale it up vertically. So the way that I normally do this, if you hit W for your move tool, kind of gives you something like this. And I'm just going to go the opposite direction by just clicking on the hand and moving out. So something like this. And we get a hand that's a little bit more symmetrical. Maybe we'll go a little tinier. This. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Q to go back into edit mode. And this all needs to be dynameshed and all that stuff. So I'm just going to go to transform or Z plugin again and then just mirror that. Hit OK. Jump back over here to subtool. Merge this down. And then Dynamesh that. Now remember what I told you before. If Dynamesh is already on, if you hold control like you're masking, but you don't mask the image, you mask out here, it'll actually Dynamesh it for you. Alright? So now with my clay buildup brush, so B and C, you can just kind of go in here now and just kind of start to just kind of connect it out. Smooth out that area where the hand meets. Maybe add a little, oop, you know what? I don't know if I have symmetry. Oh, I do have symmetry on, good. So just something like this. Kind of connect it, smoothing this out, giving myself a little bit more of a palm. Nothing too crazy. Like that. Maybe I'll grab my move brush, so B, M for move, and then T topological. Just kind of bring these fingers in a little bit. Shrinking that hand down. This. Start to shape out, he's got too much of a palm. Move those up just a little bit. Same thing with this guy. Holding Alt to kind of pull that up in one direction, moving this down. Let's pull these in. Same thing here. Maybe give his arm a little bit of like fat down here. I was going for more of a noodly guy. So there's like our basic, let's smooth these guys, they're a little too pronounced. This out. Let's hit Control D to just see how it looks a little bit smoothed. There's two, I'm gonna add a little bit of more kind of clay on that area to kind of really connect the hand. there's too much of, some of these areas it needs a little more. Because your arm sort of runs against here, and then around the wrist you have that joint showing. But we don't want to get too crazy with this because, again, this is just a template. It's not by any means the final. Kind of give a little bit more. Looks pretty good. We'll do a whole nother video on anatomy with this guy too. So right now we're just getting these basics. So now that we have the hand connected, what I'd like to do is, I'm actually gonna just tweak this a little bit. It's kind of bothering me. The top of the hand should have a little bit more pronounced like that. Can I smooth that out? Something like this. Bring this down a little bit. This. Don't worry if yours isn't exactly perfect. We're just kind of learning the basic process of how we create something like this in Zbrush. Another thing is we want to go ahead and just kind of smooth this out. That's kind of bothering me a little bit. So I'm just throwing some clay and then I'm going to smooth it out so we get a little bit more. Alright, the next video we're going to look at creating the head and neck.